Hey, y'all, welcome back to the podcast, solo episode today. And this is such a random topic, but it has been coming up so much with my clients lately. And so I thought, heck, it would probably resonate with some of y'all. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I don't know if you're listening to this over on a podcast channel. If so, Spotify, Apple, all the things. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate you from the bottom of my soul. If you have not given us a review or a 5-star rating, all you have to do is go to the bottom, click those 5 stars. And honestly, it helps so much. I cannot believe that we are almost at 3 years of this podcast. I don't even know how it's humanly possible. I know I do look 3 years older, but we have been doing this for such a long time and I'm so grateful. And obviously my goal is to get this into the hands of more and more people. And I'm just super grateful for it. If you are over on YouTube, hi. Last year, we started doing the solos over on video, which I'm still getting used to. I'm getting better talking to my little camera here in my house by myself, but I just appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for always sharing all of your comments. If you've never sent me a text message, I know I tell you every single podcast, but I promise it is me. And I really do appreciate it. It makes my day. This is the reason why I do this podcast, to truly help you guys. It is not something that I monetize. It is just truly to try to give back and give you guys as much value as I possibly can. And I appreciate you so much. So if you ever want to say hi, my phone number is 501-222-3362. Text me, just even say hi. I would totally appreciate it and get to know you. Maybe that's your New Year's resolution, to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, to do something different. So if that is one of the things, feel free to say hello. I appreciate you so much. But today's podcast is something so random. Like I said, I have had this conversation with my clients, like many of my clients. I actually have notes in front of me. So if you're watching on YouTube, yes, this is a notes podcast. Hopefully, you know me, I will go on riffs for sure. A lot of you guys love my solo podcast because you always say that like my energy is really what you love. I'm hoping the results is really what you love, but I do know that, I guess a lot of you love my energy, and I'm grateful for that. You know, it's definitely something that I believe that we all have a gift, and I definitely have the gift of showing my passion through my voice and through the screen, whether you're listening or watching me over on YouTube. But today is all about the permission that you do not need. But if you feel like you do, you are going to be hopefully given so much permission today that you do not need. But if you feel like you need it, your girl, she is here to give it to you today, because this has been coming up with so many of my clients. I took a quick note of just in the last couple of weeks of clients who I've quotes, if you're watching, you can see this, quote, given permission to for a few things. And I'll be honest, I've needed permission in my life from, outside sources, whether that be my coach, my therapist, my girlfriends, my husband, whatever, that I probably don't truly need permission for. But I also think having that from someone, and now don't get me wrong, those people that I just listed, my coach, my therapist, my husband, and a couple of my closest girlfriends, most of those people, if not all of them, I've either paid for their external perspective, or there's someone that I value their opinion quite highly. So do keep that in mind, that, obviously you and I may not know each other. We may never have met. This might be your first podcast, or perhaps you've listened to all, I can't believe we're close to 200 episodes. It's so insane. But anyway, all of that to be said, I know that we may not know each other, but hopefully if you're listening to this podcast or someone has shared this with you, hopefully you somewhat value my opinion in some regard. And I say that as a caveat because a lot of times people want you to stay safe. I was just going back and forth with a potential client via email right now. And last week's email, she was like, you're my person, I'm in, all the things. And then when she had talked to perhaps some friends or family members, it's like, why in the world would you pay a woman on the internet that kind of money? And, that could be true. You don't know me, or perhaps this person doesn't know me. She's been following me quite some time, so she does kind of know me. She's done her research, all of the things. But I also think that people sometimes closest to you are the people that want you to stay where you're at because they want to keep you safe. Even if they have the best intentions in mind, they want you to stay safe. They want you to stay where you're at. And I oftentimes say that sometimes the best thing that you can do is have that third party or that external perspective from someone that you value where they're at, that you're looking to be like, or you're looking to achieve the same type of things. You need that because most people want you to stay safe. Most people want you to stay right where they're at. Like, I'll be honest with you, and I think I've used this example on this podcast before, but like if you're hanging around with people who don't value their health and you're starting to work out, eat better, move your body, hire a trainer, throw out the junk food, do whatever, most of the people that you're around will probably say, you don't have to do that. Why would you do that? It's okay to have, a drink or whatever it is. I remember specifically when my husband and I were doing 75 hard, someone close to him was like, oh, you can have a drink. And I was like, oh my God, I could not fucking believe it. But I could actually believe it. And the reason why is that person didn't want him to change. That person didn't want him to do it if they weren't doing it themselves. They wanted, it had nothing to do with him and everything to do with the other person. And I think that that's the same thing in a lot of situations where perhaps you want to push yourself to do something. Perhaps you want to, either lose the weight or start the business or, move countries or whatever it is. You want to do something that's totally outside of your comfort zone. Most people around you will probably say, you don't have to do that. You're fine. Why would you want to change? But that's why I think sometimes having an external perspective or having like a very tight-knit circle of people who you are literally either paying for their perspective or they have earned the ability to give you their perspective because ultimately, even if it's going to make them uncomfortable, they're always going to push you into your greatness. And that's the reason why I think having coaches or having someone that you pay, because when you pay, you're paying someone to hopefully give you, what's best for you and not is what is the norm or to keep you safe. And so today's podcast is all about the permission that you do not need, but if you feel like you need it, here is the permission you need. One of an example, I was talking with a client who had committed to go and do this event overseas. And just in his schedule, he literally did not have the bandwidth in order to do it. And he didn't want to disappoint this person. But there was other determining factors. This person is very good at keeping their word. This person is out of highest integrity. But at the same time, like I told him, I was like, here's the permission for you to just not go. Like, there's some people who are like, they don't do what they're supposed to be doing. And so they actually need to be held accountable to do that. This person is totally not that person. This person needed the permission to say, no, I can put myself and my business and my well-being ahead of someone else. And so on our call, I was like, permission to cancel. Like maybe the first time in his life that he's canceled doing something, but it was the best thing for him. So I was like, permission. And I literally wrote it in his document. Permission to cancel. Permission to take care of yourself before you overextend yourself to go do something that like you're doing because you're a good person, but like also it's hurting you at this moment. So permission to cancel. I had another client who literally is a workaholic, to be 100% honest with you, total workaholic. And I told her, I said, you have pushed yourself to the absolute brink this year. I said, permission for you to cancel all the things on your schedule for the next 3 weeks. You do not need my permission, but here it is. If you need someone to tell you that this is okay to put yourself first, here is the permission that you do not need, but feel free to take the permission as your coach. Feel free to take the permission to absolutely cancel and put yourself first. And you know how many times in life people just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and doing the things that they actually don't want to do just because they're quote unquote supposed to? You guys, permission to do something different, permission to say no, permission to put yourself first. You know, I had another client, and this may seem, so if you are someone who understands this, I want you to like fully feel seen in this moment. So I had a client who was renovating their home and the lighting went in incorrectly. I'm talking like so emotional, so upset. And she kept just saying, she's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. You guys, it is such a big deal to a person who has been saving and saving and saving for such a long time to make a renovation to her house, and for the lights to have gone in wrong. And this will be her like lifelong home. Like this is her home that she has renovated, that she's spent so much time, effort, energy, and the lights were in wrong. And she's like, it's not that big of a deal. I don't have to make a big deal. Literally, pretty much our whole entire call was like, you bet your ass you're going to make it a big deal. You bet your ass you are going to go to that subcontractor and you're going to say, listen, tear this shit out and do it right. And if you can understand this from a person who has always tried to like not do anything wrong, trying not to like make waves, just be like, yeah, it's fine. If you were raised in a family where where you never made waves, where you never like made it a big deal, you never literally put your feelings and what you wanted to do ahead, you will always be doing it's no big deal. It's no big deal. And what you're doing is you're really hurting yourself, because that is not what you want. You want to be able to speak your voice. And now, just like anything, I always tell my clients, there's like pendulums, right? The truth isn't here and the truth isn't here. The truth is in the middle. I'm not telling you, you go from never saying anything to like fucking making everything this huge big deal. But where can we learn how to speak our voice and know what matters, and being willing to say like, no, this is my house. I've paid for it. You need to make it right, and not feel like you're a bad person or you're making waves or, you know, you should have just let it slide. No, that's a huge, big deal. And I know to some people, you might be thinking like, is it really that big a deal? It doesn't fucking matter if it's a big deal to you. It was a huge deal to my client, like literally tears. You know, oftentimes people just think that they have to get on the coaching calls, and having a coach is very much about like these big, massive deals. Like, you know, whether it be business, whether it be life stuff, like you have to have this checklist of all the things. I'll tell you, some of the greatest calls I have with my clients are the tiniest little like quote unquote non-big deal big deals. Like that little shift where when she really broke it down was when we went to like I always say, what's the thing under the thing? Is it really the lights why she was so upset? Yes, part of it. But you know why she was so upset? It's because she grew up never making waves. She grew up never having an opinion. She grew up being like, we just don't make it a big deal. Like everything is fine. And I know so many of you are resonating with this because, you know, you typically come from one or the other, right? Where you are never allowed to say anything. Everything's fine. I kind of call this like the Southern mentality. And I'm not dogging the South. I love the South more than anyone. I love where I live. In my daily gratitude, every single day, my husband and I do this thing called 5 things. If you've not seen the video on Instagram, send me a message and I'll share it with you. But every single day we say the word 5 things to each other, and then we give each other 5 things that we're grateful for. Literally, basically, since the pandemic, it really became very obvious that I am so fucking grateful for where I live. I live in the greatest spot ever, but don't move here. It's horrible. Anyway, I love the South. But a very big Southern mentality is, especially for women, is to not make waves. Everything is fine. How are you? I'm amazing. How are you? I'm amazing. And everything is fucking amazing. And you never are supposed to make waves. Well, that's not reality, folks. And what's going to happen is everything's going to kind of get bottled up and then you're going to like puke, right? We all have those moments. Or the way that I was raised is like everyone yells and screams and then everything's fine. Neither one is right or wrong. That's why I always say it's the pendulum. The middle is right? Having a voice and then also to like being able to use your voice, but not be an asshole all the time. It's one or the other. Like most of the time you're raised one or the other. But with this client in particular, the thing under the thing, yes, the lights were such a big deal because it is such a big deal. And you're allowed to have first world problems. That's what I told her. Just this week, I've had probably about like 4 clients message me with like, I don't know, first world, rich people, whatever you want to call it. Like I hate that like rich girl problem type of situation, because I'll be honest with you, even if it's a problem that's like not cancer, it's still a problem. It's still something that's really bothering you. And we're allowed to have those problems. I remember one time I posted something on social media where I was just feeling so shitty. And I was like, I look like a homeless person. I look horrible, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, this guy fucking tore a strip out of me. I don't know if it was a guy or a girl. It was kind of like a bot account, but literally tore me halfway to pieces. And like, I am so far into my journey that shit doesn't really bother me that much. Now, if it was a person that I knew, it would probably really bother me. Either way, I'm confident enough in myself. And this is why I say confidence is everything. I'm confident in myself to not change, but also I am allowed to have rich girl problems, or I'm allowed to have like non-problem problems. Everyone is. Yes, there is shitty things going on in the world that are much more important than lights or looking like shit one day. But that's a real problem. And here's your permission that you do not need. You're allowed to have those problems. You're allowed to talk about that stuff. Do I voice it on social media all the time? No, but you're listening to this podcast by your choice. So if you choose to turn it off, go ahead. But here's me giving you the permission that you do not need to have a rich girl problem or have a non-problem problem. You're allowed to have those moments. You're a human being doing a human thing. Now, when those become everything, then we really have to change like the negative mindset, and we have to be able to focus on the things that are going really well. But you're allowed to have a bad day. So permission to have a bad day, and permission to say what you need, permission to have feelings, permission to do something different than your family did. One of the biggest things that I do in life is really help clients reprogram patterns, stories, habits, thoughts, whatever it is that are keeping them in one place and keeping them stuck in this one place in order to get to the place that they truly want to be. Someone asked me one time, like, what do you really, really do? And, whether you hire me for just the mindset, whether you hire me for the business, whatever you're hiring me for, it's not always business. It's not always mindset. It's both mindset and strategy. But something that I think is really important for people to hear, what are we really doing? We are reprogramming stories, patterns, habits, and thoughts that are keeping us stuck, getting us to where we want to be. So when I was talking about this client who wanted to redo the lights in her house renovation, the thing under the thing was that she truly just wanted to have her voice be known because she grew up not allowing that to be a thing. And so really giving her the permission that she didn't need from me, but also felt super validating in the fact that I am an overhead perspective and I am giving her the permission to say, yes, it is totally okay that you say, no, those lights aren't right. And you have to refix them. It is totally okay for her to have an opinion, to put herself first. It is totally okay for her to be, quote unquote, a troublemaker or to, cause a commotion or whatever it is, because That's being a human. And she wants to have a voice. She wants to be heard. And I think that that's a big thing of what I'm talking about when I'm giving people permission to change the way that something has always been done and do it differently. I had to have permission. As a personal example, I had to give myself permission with a lot of therapy and my coach to say, you know what? I was raised one way when it came to, how I had arguments or how I expressed my emotions or whatever, but I no longer wanted to do it that way. So I needed permission to say, you know what? It's okay that this is not what I want to do. And I wanted to do it a different way. And I think so many people have such a hard time with that because people feel like they can't do something because God forbid it's different than what their families did, or it's outside of the norm, or, what's the neighbor going to say about it? Or the person on social media who's going to tear me a new strip because I said I felt like a homeless person when there's a war going on. Guess what? It's okay that I feel that way. And it's okay to say that. You're allowed to be a human. You're allowed to have these emotions even when bad things are going on. No matter what is happening in the world, there's always going to be something shitty going on. I told a client the other day, I said, it's okay for you to be thriving, even though some people are suffering. That is okay. There is so much permission that so many people do not feel like they can get. Like, I can't fucking change the war overseas. I know what I do in this world, and I know in my bubble of how I show up, I'm making a good impact in the way that I know how. I can't change that. I can only change what's in my bubble, and I'm allowed to have a bad day. I'm allowed to have a fucking great day, and I'm allowed to have a bad day. And so that's permission for you as well to have those good days, to have those bad days, even if other people are having good or bad days. I hope that makes sense. But here are some things over the last however many years that permission that you do not need, but you're getting from your girl here today. So permission that you do not need that you are getting. Number one, permission to start over. I was talking about one of my podcasts, and I actually know the number 16. So if you are new to the podcast in the last couple of years and you didn't hear the very, very first episodes of the podcast, some of them are good, some of them are not so good. I mean, I just had to start, right? Permission to fucking start and suck. That was me. But episode number 16, because I was referring to it, one of my good clients, she's no longer a client, we're just super good friends, but at the time she was a client, she literally shut her whole entire life down, literally closed her business, got divorced, sold all of her shit, moved to a completely different country. That podcast was probably one of the most commented on podcasts of all time, because it's probably what a lot of people want to do. I don't know if you're listening to this and you have this secret desire to shut down your fucking life and start again. Permission to go do it. There's no rules. If you literally want to sell all your shit and start again and move to a foreign country, here's the permission that you do not need that you have. My girlfriend Lisa did it, episode number 16. And guess what? She has the fucking greatest life ever now. It's not a life that I would particularly want, but she is the happiest person you'll ever meet. She loves what she's done, what she does. She loves where she lives. She met a guy and married him. She's living her best life. And it took the guts to say, I'm fucking canning all of this and starting over. And it's not like she was young when she did it. She was in her mid-30s. Permission that you do not need to reprogram the shit that your family has done that you no longer want to carry on. You have the permission to change the family story. You have permission to change your family's dynamics. You have the permission to change everything and anything that you want when it comes to your line of family. You are allowed to do that. If you do not like the way that a lot of the things have been done, permission to do something fucking completely different. And I know that is so hard for so many people to hear. And how is that possible? But Permission. And that could be everything from the way that you guys treat each other, the way that you communicate, the religion that you're in, the socioeconomic, like whatever. You have the permission to change that if you want to. Ultimately, my husband always says there's only 2 rules in life. You got to be born and you got to die. Besides that, you got nothing else that you actually have to do. And I know that that sounds so foreign to so many people. Like you have to go to school, you have to get a job, you have to pay your taxes, you have to get married, you have to have kids. None of this shit is actually true. Do something completely different. Permission is yours. And I know that those are very extreme examples, but they're true. Permission to make more money, permission to make less money. Oh my God. Do you know the amount of people that I have worked with over the years that just want the permission to fucking take a break? Very few people will admit that. Very few people will admit that they just want to slow the fuck down and not do it all and not have to make the money and not have to make the standard in which they're currently living. Permission to make less, permission to make more. If you've never been told that it's okay to be more, to do more, to have more, to want more, permission granted for all of those things. And the same with less. It is okay to work less, to have less clients. Last year was a perfect example. I literally downgraded my business. I went from taking group programs to just one-on-ones. And guess what? Last year was absolutely by far the best year I've had in business when it comes to my joy and my happiness. And I think I already talked about it on a podcast. My revenue was down by 5 or 7%. It was nothing. But my joy, the way that I ran my business, the way that I experienced my business, best year, hands down, no question. Obviously, a lot of that comes from the fact that I was compounding all of the things that I've done for so many years. And this year will probably be just as good, if not better, because I'm making the fucking rules. Permission to make the rules. Permission to change everything tomorrow if I want to. So permission that you do not need to change everything that you've ever done if you choose to. Permission to have more fun. Permission to travel more, permission to travel less or to have less fun, permission to be a homebody, permission to not push yourself to the absolute brink every single day, permission to rest, permission, all of the permission that you want is yours if you're willing to receive it. And sometimes it takes paying someone. I cannot tell you over the years how many clients I've had where I have given them the permission to do less, to rest, to say no, to say yes, but to say no. Permission to be a stay-at-home mom if you want. Permission to not do that. Permission to 100% not go to all of your kids' games. Permission to hire a nanny. Permission. One of my clients, this story is incredible. One of my clients, I told her to hire a driver. This woman will hire everything and anything, but a driver just seemed to be the too bougie, right? But promise you, she got time back with her kids. She was able to work while the person was driving her. Didn't cost her that much more money. And yet happy. Why? Permission to just fucking hire a driver. And who gives a shit what anyone thinks or what anyone says? We live in this weird world where everyone has an opinion about everything. But really, at the end of the day, if you can stop worrying about what everyone else's opinion is and get so clear and so confident on what is best and right for you, you will literally be happier. You'll probably be more wealthy. You'll probably be happier. Sometimes 50% of the time, I'm sure that's a big part of what my clients and I talk about. Permission to just do the thing that you ultimately want to do. I've said from day one of doing this podcast and day one of doing coaching, It's already inside of you. My job is just to help you get clear, to hold you accountable, and to perhaps give you the permission that you're seeking that no one else has given you. So what else? Permission to do things differently. I just kind of already said this, but permission to do things differently than anyone in your family has ever done it. Sometimes it takes that one person to do something completely different that will change the lineage of your family forever. But unless that person gave themselves or had someone help them decide to give them the permission to do something different, perhaps they never would. So the permission is it's okay to do something different. Permission to have kids, permission to not have kids. You guys, I never really have needed the permission not to have kids. But if you really think about it, I am very much, what is the word? An anomaly? Anomaly? I don't even know what the word is. I am very, 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 very fucking rare. I am a woman who did not want to have kids, who could have children, probably. I would never know. But I am a person who chose not to. Do I have the financial ability? Yes. Am I in an amazing marriage? Yes. But I chose not to have children, and I'm so confident in my decision. And I'll be honest with you, the flack that I have gotten for that is a lot. And I've just permission that I didn't fucking need to not do it. Will I regret it? Who knows? At this point in time, I'm 41 years old, and hell no, I do not regret it. And I'm proud of myself to be able to say that. No knock on anyone who does. I mean, there is women that will tell you through and through and through that is why they were born to have kids. My mother felt that way. My cousin feels that way. So many of my clients are literally, I just wanted to grow up so I could have kids. But if you don't want to, that's okay too. Permission that you do not need from me. But if you feel like you do, I literally private messaged a woman one time. Actually, I had a conversation with a person who was on this podcast. And I was like, can I just tell you that it's okay. It's okay that you don't want to have kids. And if I have to be the fucking poster child of permission to say that I have an amazing life, I have an amazing marriage, and I am so happy without children, that is okay. Here is the permission to know that you are fine. Do you know how many people feel wounded because they feel like there's something wrong with them because they don't have children? Now, if you can't, I know that's a completely different ballgame of how women feel. But for those, even if it's 2% of women that do not want them and everyone is making them feel bad, here is the permission that you can still have an amazing fucking life without them. Here's permission that you do not need to not get married. My husband and I will tell you 100%, if he was standing right beside me, he will tell you we would still be together whether we're not married or not. It took us 8 years to get married. We got married so late in life. We've been together 20 something years, but we've only been married 12, a little over 12. Permission not to fucking get married if you don't want to. I personally think it was fucking awesome, but at the same time too, permission not to. I think I've told this story on the podcast before about why I decided to get married. Neither one of us were ever going to get married, ever going to have kids, but there was a medical issue that happened, and my husband and I were in the hospital watching families, a family member of ours, and her husband really took really control at the hospital when she was so sick. And I remember looking at Nathan and I said, oh God, I think we have to get married. I want you to be that person for me. And I want him. I wanted to be that person for him. And that was the first time ever that I thought about getting married. I was like, oh, I don't want that to be my parents. I don't want that to be your parents. I want to be that person for you. And so we were married a year later, but never did I think that I would get married. So just a little fun side note there, but permission not to do it if you don't want to. Permission for your faith. I am a Christian. I believe in God. It is so in alignment for me, but permission to do whatever feels good to you. You don't have to do any of the things. You can leave your religion. You can change religions. You can do something completely different. permission that you do not need. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. You have the permission to do what feels best and most in alignment to you. Permission to buy expensive shit. I cannot tell you how much money wounding I deal with clients. Not only just with clients, your girl, she's exactly the same. I think I've told you guys on this podcast like maybe a year ago or something like that. They're like, I had a fucking full mental breakdown, like ugly cry in the middle of a mall in Dubai when I was going to buy this bag that's literally like, yes, it's expensive, but it's not like I didn't have the money. It's not like I don't spend money on other things. It's not like my husband doesn't spend that money all the time, where I was like, I'm going to do it for you. Well, that was a complete mindset thing about me feeling worthy enough to buy something for myself and reprogramming money stories and all the things. But like, permission to buy expensive shit, permission to change your money stories, permission to not buy expensive shit. I am the first person to tell you that I am so cheap when it comes to certain things. Like, I literally buy the $5 face cream. However, this is kind of funny. I've never told anyone this, but I started buying the expensive bougie face shit. I'm really hoping we can share this up. And by share, I mean turn back time. It's probably not going to happen. I'm probably just going to have to get a facelift. And I will tell you, permission to get a fucking facelift if you want it. How many people are judgy? I'm the first person to say, do whatever feels best for you. Like, permission that you do not need to go do something that feels good to you. You know, this weight loss drug. Everyone and their mother has an opinion about it. I am not a doctor. I don't know shit about it. I've heard some like dodgy things about people getting really sick. And my hairdresser said a lot of people are losing their hair. But who fucking judge you? If you can do it, do it. One of my best friends in life had the gastric sleeve thing. And I was like, good for fucking you. She is so happy. She had it done like 15 years ago. It's not a magic pill, because I know someone else who's had it done who it did not work. So it's definitely, it takes effort to make it work. But like, who am I to fucking judge? If you want to do the weight loss drug that everyone and their mother's doing right now, fucking do it. Who cares? If you want to go get your facelift, go do it. Like, permission that you do not need. I think the moral of this story, of this whole entire podcast, is you have the permission to do whatever the fuck you want in this life. And you not living that fully, like, that's the whole, like, go listen to the intro of this podcast again. Like, permission, the confidence to live out your God-given purpose, to do what feels good on your soul, to not judge yourself, to be the best, most confident version of yourself. I can only imagine. I've never really been extremely heavy, but I can only imagine how horrible it feels to be 200 pounds or even 60 pounds overweight. So if you want to go fucking use a drug to make it happen, knock yourself out. Permission that you do not need. Or if you don't want to, permission to not do that, to live your best life, whatever is best for you. But I think the moral of the story is, you have the power to decide it's your turn. You have the power to decide whatever you want in this world. You know, I think the recurring theme of everything I kind of talk about is life is so short. Like, I hate that it's 2024. I hate that I'm 41 years old. I hate that my husband is turning 50 this year, which is crazy to even say. And it's not that like I care about the age, and it's not that I'm like not so excited for his 50th birthday, but time is running out. Time is running out. And that is like the worst thing possible. Do the thing that is on your soul. Permission to do all the things. Permission to do what lights you up. You know, to that person who said to me, I can't believe you're saying that you look homeless when there's a war going on in this world. Do you know what the best thing that anyone on this planet could do is to become so selfish and take care of themselves and lead their best lives and be the most happy, joy-filled, confident human? If every person on the planet did that, it would take care of everything. It would take care of everything. I know for a fact, by me giving myself the permission to choose this life, to choose joy, to choose what sets my soul on fire, I am making this world a better place. Whether it's my small circle of, 50 clients, couple hundred over the years, whether it's you listening to this podcast, whether it's just my tiny intimate circle, I am making a difference in this world because I am doing what sets my soul on fire. I am doing what I'm supposed to be called to on this planet. I am giving myself the permission to do it my way, the thing that feels so good and so in alignment. I am giving myself the permission to reprogram the shit that I do not think is serving me so I can be my best person. When I die, and I think Ed Milet has said this, and I didn't hear it from him, but I don't remember exactly who I heard it from. But at the end of my life, oh my God, I want to be close to the version of myself that God created me to be. And had I died, I know I've said this before, but had I died 15 years ago, fuck me, I wouldn't even remember that person because I wasn't even a shadow of the human that I am today. So I am giving you all of the permission today that you do not need to do all of the things that make you the best version of you. That is the moral of the story. That is the theme of all the things that I care about. Decide it's your turn. Live your best life. Time is ticking. It is so unfortunate that I'm going to run out of it at some point in time. Fuck, that's the worst. So I'm not going to take it for granted, and I don't want you to either. You guys, I appreciate you so much. We're sorry about the technical difficulties. Life happens. I don't even know what is in this FedEx box. I hope it's something phenomenal. I hope I ruined this podcast in the middle for something phenomenal. You guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for rating the show. Thank you for reviewing. Thank you for sharing it with a friend. Thank you for being here each and every single week. You guys, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Do not forget, you can decide it's your turn at any moment in time. If you ever want to contact me, all of the information is in the show notes. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.